Thokozani, Amakwini, Lesedi Khanya, Tobela, Absheni. It is a few minutes after 4, and I said I'm gonna come back today and have a conversation with you, beloved women, to speak about the power of women. And I really love that the topic is not about the power of a woman, but the power of women, which for me, that symbolizes something amazing, that symbolizes something great. It means already in us, because we know that the group we're on, it's a group that is held by queens, and people who have created the space is queens. That in our essence, we are we's. In our essence, we always think of the collective. So it's really beautiful to be in a space amongst queens. It's beautiful to be in a space amongst such great power, because when we speak about the power of women, automatically we speak about we, and we understand that everything that is in a collective, everything that is interconnected to a system, it means that then power can be created, because creation happens in the we. It doesn't happen in the I. You know, so, and what do I mean by that? And I'm going to speak in terms of us understanding ourselves as women, understanding our essence as women. And by understanding that, it means that even when we manifest and we choose different paths or whatever energies or whatever sexual orientation we become, but once you understand you as a woman and the essence of being women, what do we mean by that? So kindly let me know if we are hearing each other, if you are following the conversation, because it's very important. I don't want to be having this conversation by myself. I want to be having conversation with fellow women. I want to be having conversations with queens. I want to be having conversations with Nzalabantu, Ebomme Basichaba. So let me speak about our understanding of women and the power that women is from an African spiritual perspective, because it's very important. So those who might not know me, because I just kind of went into it, I am Gogo Dineo, and I am a full-time Sangoma. I also practice as a coach, a life coach, a spiritual coach, and I'm also trained as a systems coach, and I facilitate and a whole lot of other things. But most important is that I am a spiritual being having a human experience, and what's secondly important is I am a human being, meaning there is beingness in my humanness, but then I am in a woman's body, and therefore I identify in my gender as a woman, and above that I identify as a Black woman. And those things are really powerful for me, because they are going to be able to really set the tone for this conversation, and to understand that everything that I say is Gogodinawa's truths. And truth is very relative. And that when I speak, I inspire. When I speak, I enlighten. When I speak, I provoke as well. And that's what I said when I did the promo yesterday. Because change is not going to happen by just us being in good space and with status quo. But inspiration, it means that I am hoping that with the message that I'm going to share today, I'm going to return you into spirit, because inspiration means being in spirit. And I'm inviting you to engage and listen with your spiritual ears and open your spiritual heart, because in that space lies divinity, and the divine in you is whom I'm hoping to awaken, so that you can go out there understanding the divinity that you are as a woman, the divinity that you are as women, the royalty and the royalness that we walk with, and challenging some of the stereotypes and assumptions that have been made about us as Black women. So we need to understand then our essence. I mean, isn't it interesting that in our chromosomes, you know, biologically, that we carry the X chromosome only. So we carry the female chromosome only. That is very powerful. So meaning that in our nature, actually, you know, we are like that, you know. And isn't it also interesting that biologically that, you know, we are incubators of seeds, because when that seed gets fertilized, it requires a woman's womb. for it to grow, for it to be nurtured, for it to make of itself what it has come here to serve while sitting comfortably in your sacred womb. And what's powerful is that, you know, in that space we trust. So isn't it amazing how trusted we are? Isn't it amazing how powerful we are physically, spiritually, and mentally to go through a process of being in the womb, but also the process of being carried in the womb. So biologically, you could tell that as women, we are incubators of life. As women, we carry life, you know, whether you have physically given a child or not. But remember that your mother had an X chromosome and you have X chromosome. So in you there is life, because we need that egg to make sure that then, you know, there is a life that gets created. So listen to me spiritually. In our essence as women, we are nurturers. We are carers. In our essence as women, we are life givers, because we have been able to do that while we were sitting in our mother's wombs, but we are able to do that while our children were sitting in our mother's womb. And many of us as women have carried children that we haven't really physically carried, because we are built in it in us for the fact that we have a womb. Meaning that we men, and like I said, isn't it interesting we're speaking about we men? Because it means that the essence of we men is in the collective, not in the you, them, and I. It's in us. And how is that so? Because we understand that in our, you know, African culture, have you seen how everything that has to expand and grow has to have a woman? So ngesiZulu kuthiwa inkosikazi, indlovukazi. So meaning ukuthi inkosikazi yami, indlovukazi yami, one who expands, one who is not a, you know, one who has come to be, to extend and magnify and elevate and grow what is currently is. Meaning that without the presence of this growth and expansion doesn't occur. Things just become what they are. But in our presence, we magnify. In our presence, we shine light upon. I mean, you see, because we are, our symbol in the feminine is the moon. And you see when the full moon is out, how beautiful and bright the sky becomes at night. And we can start to recognize that actually it is the sky. The sky, you know, it shows its presence. So I'm speaking about our essences as women, that if you are out driving and there's a full moon, and because that's a symbol of women, women are symbolic in the moon. Hence, most of us, when we go through our menstruation, we go with it with moon cycles, and it messes us up because we are innately interconnected to it. Whether you believe in it, you don't, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So already when you go onto your monthlies, and spiritually gifted women normally would go around the full moon, that things happen to them because they are energetically charged. So they are connected to the divine mother, Unom Kubulwane. They are connected to the divine womb. So hence emotions, meaning energy that is in emotion, and energy is spirit, the essence of who we are. Isn't that interesting? So, because the sun can be out and we all notice it, but that's it. But the moon, the full moon, it takes space. But it's not aggressive. It's not harsh like the sun. We feel the heat, we do that. No. It is there. It is subtly there, yet it is so deeply visible, because we understand that it sheds so much light when it comes to its fullness, the full moon. So in our essence, that's who we are. So in our essence, it means in our absence, then we are moving into a direction of lack. We are moving in a direction of emptiness. We are moving in a direction that is directionless. So as women, we need to understand those essences, because then we don't need to demand space. We need to understand we are the space. In our essence, that's what we are. We are the space. We don't demand it, because when we demand and fight for things, we move away from our essence, and we become the divine masculine. And that's when sometimes we become off balance, because, you know, you understand I understand My essence as the divine feminine is to care, is to nature, is to nurture. Hence, a lot of women are the ones who are called into healing, because already what the healer in you is already there. So the woman in you is already healing. The woman who is able to cry over somebody's child that they know. The woman who's able to empathize. The woman who's able to show compassion. The woman who's able to show things. And I'm going to speak about the wounded women, because I know a lot of people will say, yeah, but not every woman is like that. I'm speaking about our essence. That's the essence of who we are. As women, we are healers. So healers are facilitators of change. Healers make well what is not well. So healers have come to bring harmony into the planet. So we do understand that actually after a harsh, long day of sunlight, which is the divine masculine, there is then nighttime where the moon comes. And because you see, it doesn't always have to shine like this. It just comes in cycles, because it understands that different times requires its moonness differently. So it's also an energy field that is very patient. It's an energy field that is very attentive. That's why some things, because they are innate in us, we can be more tolerable to things that when we look at them, they're like, this is a situation I should be working out, but I don't know why I'm still here, because there's something in your nature that wants to nurture as a woman. But we also need to understand that when we are wounded, sometimes our nurturing and our naturing is the little girls in us that are requiring that, but we are not willing to face them, because facing them means going into pain, and pain creates discomfort, but pain calls us for growth. I hope you're following me here in this conversation and you're feeling what we are talking about as we speak about the power of women, because we can speak about the power of women in roleship. Role is something that can change all the time. We exhaust roles. I saw in one of your, in the post when there was a Makoti bootcamp, and a lot of women were like, oh no, not me, because that's a role. If that role is not you, fine. That role for you is not to pega ini, ipo, aina. If that's not your role, but it doesn't mean you have to stop nurturing. You have to stop caring. You have to stop nurturing. Because once you stop doing that, you lose your power as a woman. And roles were created with an attempt for us to express our essence as nurturers, as carers and givers. And with that lies deep love that's unconditional. And so when we understand that, and we understand the wounding that has come as little girls, and we become aware and conscious, then we take the necessary steps to heal and shift and return back into our power. Because everything else that happens as human beings that we play out, it's a role, you know. Cooking is a role. Mothering is a role. But being the essence of a woman, that's the essences that I've described, that's who you are. Because you are the moon. And in your fullness, you be the space. You don't have to fight for space. Even when you are just birthing, when it's the new moon, we see you, we feel you, we are with you. You don't need to come and scream and shout like the sun. So that's the essence of who we are, and that's our power, because there is no one that gets, certain things were not allowed to be done without the presence of a woman. As a king, you would not be king without a queen, but a queen could rule with an army of men warriors. And yes, I know there's some stories like King Shaga. Zak didn't have inkosikazi, but had umawake, indlovukazi, indlovukazi. The Honorable Queen Nandi wasemalangeni, Njomani, Ubebe, Mam Nandi, an incredible woman. Another incredible woman, Umkabayi Wakajama. Because we don't have to be in your face, but we always were, because we were incubators. We didn't need to be the sky. So we didn't need to be visible. We didn't need to be that but we understood that whatever we did and however we did it and how we show up in our essence we made our presence felt. Like how a full moon, we feel it in such a vast, infinite sky, yet this round thing fills it up because it understands that who it is, it's not here to shout and fight, but it's to be space. So that's what we're needing to be understanding as amakhosikazi, as indlovukazi. So what happened and where have we lost it, and why these discomforts and these I don't do this, and oppression? We need to understand that as Black women, we're even more powerful, because in our DNA we carry melanin, and we carry certain DNA chromosomes. You know, we carry certain lineages that has an ability to birth all races. Isn't it interesting that when we look at Mother Africa, the cradle of humankind, but we call it mother because we understand that the woman is the seed carrier. The woman is Inzalabantu. Isn't it interesting we speak about Mother Nature, not Father Nature? Because we are speaking of essences of nature. When nature nurtures us, we have life. When Mother Nature stops caring and Mother Nature stops giving, we get national disasters, because they always would say nature is upset. But these powerful things, yet subtle and not always being in your face, are named after the divine feminine. So I'm hoping that you are following and you are getting and you are understanding. And of course, I can speak for days on different things, but I'm on social media as Coco Dineo, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I'm mostly active on Instagram, and my Facebook page, Coco Dineo Ndlanzi Institute of Spiritual Healing. And you can follow me there for teachings. But if you are needing, guidance, and you're needing direction on your personal life, then you'll have to come for a consultation. And as ugogo nginesikhohlo, and that's why I practice. So I don't do DMs of questions and queries. Only when you're wanting, I'll share my number as well, my WhatsApp number. But just understand, and it's so incredible because I am a wounded woman, or I don't want to say I am, because I am is powerful because it is connected to Creator. I want to say that the child in me has experienced woundedness. And I want to go, before I speak about this child in me, to speak about how come many of us ended up becoming children who are wounded at the hands of the men that we love, at the hands of the mothers we love, at the hands of the brothers and the sisters, at the hands of those whom were supposed to be our guiders, leaders as we grew up. So the toxic masculine and this is before the toxic masculine, when colonization happened, is because a race of a group of white people, I don't want to say all, a group of white people felt insufficient and inadequate in themselves, in who they were and everything about them. And there's history that tells they lived in caves and they were savages. So they traveled around the world seeking food, and they came to Africa and they found harmony and balance and peace and love. Because in Africa, we didn't even have things like jails, because we understand women, we understand that if a child fails, we have failed as a community. If somebody does wrong, we have done them wrong by not caring for them and nurturing and loving, which is the women, and by actually disciplining and instilling structure, that's the masculine. So we understand we have failed. So we would then take responsibility and therefore readdress it collectively, not by throwing them into jail cells. Because I feel sad, a lot of black men are sitting in jails out there, and some of them, it is because of certain things that we have lost as Africans. And that's why it's important as women to understand the power of ritual, because ritual is food to the essences of who we are. Ritual is food to the soul. So if we don't feed the moon in us, how is that moon gonna be space? Because if you are not feeding it and you are not doing what you need to do in your flesh, in your humanness, your beingness ceases to exist. So this is what happened. And colonization birthed patriarchy. And patriarchy is what we have found ourselves as a system. Both white supremacy and patriarchy have been systems that we've been operating under. And the thing about isms and schisms is that it eats away at one's power in order for it to feel its relevance and its existence. So even when they say women bring other women down, those who do that is because they don't understand their worth. Because a queen can only fix one's queen's crown because it understands that we men are power, not me, men, am power. And some of the things as conditionings that we've had as women that have made us to be what we are, because these behaviors and these mental conditionings are what have made us be fragmented, because without the we men, without the collective, there's no power. Alone we are unable to do it. So the lies and the false stories we've been told have to be, we need to unlearn before we can relearn. So there's a lot of things we need to unlearn so we can relearn, because we are not learning anything new, we're relearning. Relearning meaning we're going back, we are remembering, we are recalling who we are. And who we are is power in its own essence. And those men who understand themselves, they understand that they don't need to bring a woman down for them to feel like they're men. They actually understand that the moon is my guider, because we have moon cycles. We have the full moon, the new moon, the quarter moon. Isn't that so? Because it means in our essence, we are the rhythm of nature. So we are everything. We are many elements as well of nature, because we are we men, right? So we are many. When you look at we men, we are many. And when you look at men, it's on its own. But when you look at women, it's men and women. So we need to understand that there's a lot of oppression that occurred because of those two. There are systems which people have made it a way of life, and people have applied as culture, patriarchal culture, sexist culture, white supremacist culture. And for me, what is interesting about white supremacy, because it is about the white men sitting at the top of the food chain, is because it also understood the power of women. And that's why a lot of women during slavery and apartheid were raped by white men. So people also need to understand with this rape culture, some of the things we see now in our black communities, their origins were not the essence and the truth of who we are. It's learned behavior. And that's why we need to heal, because healing is to break a pathology that has served its time and its course, and it's time we start anew. Many of us might find ourselves as single mothers, because we men, and I don't advocate for women to say I want to have this, because we need to understand that the child needs both the guidance of two loving parents for them to come to a sense and a place of fullness and wholeness. And whether that's the relationship dynamic and sexuality can differ, but two, because everything happens in that way. That's harmony, that's balance. There's a yin and a yang. When yin and yang are in harmony, we give life. That's the sign of an ankh. If you don't know an ankh, I don't know if you could see an ankh here, that's a sign, because it shows, as Africans, we understand the coming together of the divine masculine and the divine feminine giving life. So it also shows in our roles as women, we are not here to be competing and fighting men. And, our role is to nurture. Our essence is to nurture, is to care. And how that outplays itself in a role, it differs. But let's not dismiss things because they've been made to believe that our essence lies in ironing clothes or cooking food. But I know how I nurture as a woman. I don't like to iron. I don't like cleaning and scrubbing floors. But I love cooking. I love cooking with all my heart. That's one thing I love. It gives me life. It gives me joy, because every time I cook, I nurture, I nourish, and I love. And that's the essence. So it means when I do that, I'm returning back to my essence. I'm returning to my state of contentment, completeness, my state of joy. And that is feeling, and feeling is truth. When I have a feeling about it, it means you have the truth about it. So that's my truth. Cooking, that's my way of nurturing and nourishing and caring and loving. What is yours, women? How do you care? Nature. Biologically, you have carried a child. Biologically, you have a womb, meaning you're a carrier of life. How are you going to nurture, nourish, and nurture and love that which you are carrying in your womb? Mine is cooking, and of course other things, but cooking is one. So let's not be quick to dismiss things because, activism of some sort has told us that it is oppressive. Yes, when we make the essence that role, then I have a problem. The role is not the essence. The essence is what I've explained. There could be many ways in which you do it, because another way of nurturing and caring that is not in the kitchen could be sitting and doing hair and doing your baby's hair. It could be cleaning their ears. That is saying, because you are reminding them of when they were in the womb, they were carried. So how are you going to carry nurture and nature as a women? We also need to understand that when we are wounded as women, especially if the wounding comes from those whom, when we became nurturers and lovers, and we became that, they then took advantage of those essences that we came out as, and they violated us. So women who are very masculine have experienced a lot of violation. So every one of us carries both the masculine and the feminine. So both of us, that's why women, so it means we carry the man and the woman in us. And so do men. Can you imagine you are a woman, meaning collective, but also when we speak about chromosomes, the men have the Y and the X, so meaning that they have the feminine as well. So that's how powerful Creator is, because in us, and if we don't get into harmony within us, but you cannot be vibrating the two things at the same time, because even when you look at the ankh, you have to do it this way before you do it that way. That's why you attract a companion, a lover, somebody who is going to come and add value to what already exists. If it doesn't, you are a broken, and there's brokenness and woundedness, you can never find a lover that's coming to come and complement you, because you'll need to be completed. And it's completed because the other half of who is supposed to be full is empty. So, and then the relationship emerges as toxic. So I hope you're following me and we are on the same page with this topic and what we're talking about. So it is very important, because you cannot emerge in your essence and in your power if you have not healed. Many of us, if not 90%, we hear the statistics about rape, we hear the statistics about domestic violence. They are scary, they are real, and many of us, so if there's a hashtag me too, I experienced sexual abuse from the age of 3. That's when I recall the first experience, but I don't recall the actual details. I just recall seeing what I saw. And I remember my first time where I was conscious, I was 5, when a man asked me to touch their penis. It felt very uncomfortable, but I loved the 5 rand they gave me, because I could have something. I got a sweet. Do you see sometimes how they then say, why is it women make relationships about money? We have been taught that relationships are transactional. So the little girl in me was wounded, and she chooses 2 things. Chooses to see that as a language of love, where you are made uncomfortable, where you are violated, and afterwards you are given something to numb it. Or she can choose to see that actually love is money. But then I became very adamant, because as I grew up, I experienced a lot of women who were going through and who were in abusive relationships. And what I kept on hearing was, I can't leave because he supports me. I can't leave because I can't leave. I can't, it felt like the conditioning I had as a child was that money is everything. And if you want to be able to be yourself in a relationship, make sure that money is not the thing. That was me, not you. That's how I took it. And that's why I made the choices that I made, because of that conditioning. So woundedness does that. And we need to also understand that when women are so masculine, it's not necessarily that they are of a different sexual orientation, because we need to understand man, woman as well. Those are also social constructs, because the characteristics of the essence of women that I've explained, even men might be. Those who are born with an X and a Y chromosome might be women instead of being just women. I know, because I have a child who was born male and now is a girl. So I know what I'm talking about, because remember, I teach from my own experiences. And that's how I understand life, and that's how I cultivate wisdom, because wisdom, we don't learn it in the classroom. Intellect, we learn it in the classroom. And intellect is cultivated in the mind, but wisdom is cultivated through experience. As you know better, you do better. As you know better, you are more awakened and enlightened. And the essence of who we are as women is to always learn, because that's when you understand your body and you have to go through your periods, you understand everything else that goes on. You know, I was saying the other day on Instagram about one of the assumptions about women is us and our periods, and I don't like going on my periods. I don't like it, you know. And maybe I need to start to appreciate and understand the power of that process, because every month, biologically, our bodies prepare to incubate life. Can you imagine? Whether you want kids or you don't want kids, whether you have kids, but every month, that's the power. Every month, your body says, I am ready to be a life giver. I am ready to be in Zalabandu. Every month, irrespective of what you're doing, irrespective whether the egg can be fertilized, but your body's intelligence, which is connected to your spiritual intelligence, understands your power as a life giver, that without you, there is no life. And why it becomes such an intense thing is because our bodies prepare. So as our bodies prepare, it connects us to our mind, because it's a preparation. The thing is that if we don't become conscious about those things, we feel the things that we feel without understanding them. When we understand them, we become one with the feelings, then they don't become overwhelming PMSs. I cry a week or two before I go home. I just cry. Like, I just cry. And I have stopped to think it's about my childhood sexual abuse, because I know it's not about that. I have forgiven my perpetrators. I send love and light. Some of them are still in my life. And some of them are in my life, but they're over the balcony. Because for me, it's not about being bitter, it's about being better. And for me, it's understanding that even in what you have come to do, you didn't do anything. You actually were coming to open me up to this divinity and this greatness, because I needed to go through that. That's my experience. I needed to go through that to understand the divine feminine. And we need to understand that it is so powerful that everybody wants a piece of it. And why is it women are so sexualized? It's because sex is spirit. Sex is creator. It's energy. It's energy for women who have spoken. Maybe next time we should speak about sex and spirituality. For women who have experienced orgasm, I know there's women who have not experienced orgasm. You know how powerful that's. Oh, it's like, wow. Like, it becomes everything. And as women, because we have the womb, we absorb energy. So some sexual assaults happen because people are taking away what they know is a life giver. They want a part of that because they see it lacking in themselves, forgetting that they were incubated and they were grown and they were nurtured in the womb. You don't need to go violate it to claim it back again. Feel me? You don't need to violate it to claim it back again. It is because it's already. You were born with it, man. You stayed there for 9-10 months. So meaning you were born with that power. So some violations happen because they understand energy, and people take that energy, especially with gifted women, they experience a lot of that. It's because it's power. They are trying to get and receive healing. So they feel by violating or taking it by force, it will apply. They don't understand that they actually are creating more toxicity for themselves, because such an act, the energy vibration is one that makes them a vampire. Because then it means they can never be God, because all they do is suck out life out of other people, and they fail to be life givers, but they attack the life giver and it's not conscious. I invited you. I said, listen with a spiritual ear and a spiritual heart, because I'm going to be deep spiritual so we can understand the essence and the power that we are as women. So when we go through those things, it's because, and sometimes we have to go through those things because that's our awakening. We are at a place where we're so aloof, to the reality or to our divine purpose, that something like that happens to us to awaken us, like an accident, because all of a sudden you start to notice everything. Like you notice there was a green, that it awakens us. It makes us be present and be in the moment. So understand that those things, and if we don't heal that, because when we get violated, right, the women shifts into men as an energy field, because then you, as you grow up, you want to protect that little girl who was violated. So your drive and sometimes your passion, is it in alignment with the essence of your nurturing as a woman? Is it in alignment with your essence of caring, of loving, of compassion, of empathy, of healer? Or is it to try and protect this wounded little girl? So we can vibrate masculinity and it becomes toxic masculinity even as women, because it's our way of protecting her, that which got broken by him. Because being women, we don't have to make our existence known by pulling others down, but you know what happens. Perpetrators, people who have become violated and have become victims, easily become perpetrators. So a lot of us as women in positions of power, and I mean role power, leadership power, leading power, because that's masculinity. When we get into that power unhealed, we become weapons of mass destructions towards those who have come and are seen and deemed as less or below us. Because we feel by doing that, we can make ourselves known again. We can reclaim that innocence, that which was robbed and violated at a young age. We do a lot of things to each other unconsciously. We get broken down, we get sweat, we do so much. I was, and I feel I still speak about this experience, and being vulnerable here means that it's an experience I'm still healing from. On Twitter last year, I was attacked by a group of women, not men. It was a group of women who called me all sorts of names. And it wasn't just women, it was healer women. But we can only become so violent, vicious. We can be poisonous because we are poison. You can't give what you don't have. You can't be what you are not. So when you are being toxic, and when you see a toxic woman, understand that it is what they are. It's not who they are. What is something learned? Who is essence? So what can shift if you shift what has been taken away from us? And that's what I'm talking about, going through a process of healing. I realize that a lot of women are broken, especially healer women, because we need to be able to understand what woundedness is like. And once we understand our own woundedness, and we become gentle and kind to ourselves and embark on a journey of healing ourselves and holding ourselves in a place of love, light, worthiness, deservability, we are then able to give more in that way. You can't give from an empty cup, because the more you gift from it, it means you're giving broken pieces of glass, and you are saying you're nurturing, but you're breaking. Because it could be like I'm mentoring you, but I'm breaking you. And that's one thing I'm becoming more aware of as ukobela as well. Like, how do I mentor? How do I dance with my masculine and my feminine? How do I teach without breaking you? But how do I break you open to teach you? I'm a piece of work. I'm forever evolving and learning as Kokotino. There's a lot that I learned. There's a lot I learned through the Twitter process about myself, because I had to be reminded of how awesome and brilliant I am. Understand when people are giving enough of their time to talk about you and try to destroy you, it's because they see a gem in you that you might have not realized. But if you know you are gem and they talk badly about you, it doesn't affect you because it doesn't matter. A diamond doesn't need anyone to validate it. Once it comes out of the ground, it understands itself and its value, whether you want to receive it as such or don't, whether you like diamonds or you hate it. But diamonds is one of the precious, most expensive minerals in the world. Whether Kokodino is for diamonds or not, doesn't care. Because after it is born, it understands its value. So I hope you're feeling me and you're getting me. And thank you for your comments. They keep me going and they keep me motivated. And feel free to follow me on Kokodineo on Instagram. I do these teachings almost every week, almost every day. I interpret dreams. I give guidance. You can request. I'm not so active with the live streams on Facebook. I'm going to try. I'm also going to try do webinars. I'm learning. I'm a student of life. Because one who is called to be a master needs to be a student. And a great master is one who is willing to go back to studentship. Because every time you need to innovate and every time you need to evolve. And that's what makes one a great master. So I would love to engage you with some of the questions you have. There's a lot of things I teach about on my social media pages. African women. So meaning that your essence is that in which I described. And then you chose to be born in an African black body. And actually we all somewhat are connected because Africa is the cradle of humankind. So if you are not rooted and deeply connected to a lineage of your ancestors who came before you, whom are you going to call upon to walk you and help you navigate the complexities of this life? Some of us are unable to last in marriages and relationships because we are not deeply rooted. We have cut off women in our lives in an ancestral and spiritual way, thinking that we have made it in life and all we need is ourselves. We are women, so as women, we are the ones who have to be incubators of those rituals which feeds the we in us. So we need to understand those rituals and traditional practices. Those practices that are enabling, not the ones that are disabling. Don't be fooled and think that a woman is secondary to a man in African culture. That's what colonial culture has taught us. That's what patriarchal culture has taught us, not the essence of African spiritual culture. Because it understands the power. Hence, but umma. Makumalo. Ma gasbanban. Ma means what? Mother of a nation yakakumalo. You know, so we understand that even this whole issue of surnames, really, in Zulu you are always referred because we need to understand uwinzalai uzalo abobani. So understand those things. Kasipedi gape mudiro wa diriwe ragadi a sa phasitsa bana. Bo makadzi. Mela bakbula chivenda, but I don't know. Sengfuna ukukhuluma isishangane. They can't. Certain rituals cannot be performed. So it was never about transaction when it comes to lobola, but it was understanding the worthiness and the value of that woman. And money was not the only thing that was put on the table. There were other things. So you are not made worthy and valuable by your external accumulations, by the material, not by your qualifications, by istima sako. Hence, when you are being married, they ask you to upuma mubulumdwana. Even the man, because we understand what makes a home is not the material. It's not the body. Again, it's the essence. Because you might be everything and be powerful and be kokotino and be all of those things, but if unganastima, if usnabutu, if ahawatiba, everything else you have will cease to exist. Because you will think I alone is what you need to make it in life. So women understand the importance of connecting to powerful ancestral spirits of women who have came before us, and that we might not never read of their names in history, and they might not get enough attention as other men. But remember, in our essence, we were never about fighting to occupy space, because we are space. We are the moon that makes the sky visible, because without moon, we would have not known that's the sky, because the moon illuminates it, and the moon's children, the stars, because it's only with the moon that there are stars. Nighttime, the moon comes. Greatness is birthed in the dark. Understand. And understand that the moon understands the importance. It doesn't fight the stars, doesn't fight the sky, doesn't fight the sun. So I'm going to encourage us as women to be for things, not against things. Because what we put out there is what grows and what manifests. That's how energy is like. So be for things that you're aspiring. Because understand that women who gossip, women who belittle each other, women, that's toxic femininity. The toxic femininity is toxic. When we see that it's over, it's too much, is when it starts to gossip. Scanner, when it starts to bring another woman down, starts to criticize another woman because of its body, because of its shape, because of Heband. So understand, the minute you start becoming a gossiper, you become toxic, and something in you is starting to feel empty. But also to the women out there who might be experiencing difficulties because they're being talked about or people are spreading things, child, you are owning your lane so greatly that your star is illuminating. And sometimes when you shine brighter, other people can handle that light. Pass them on some Gucci classes and show them love and light. But continue shining, because you are here, because there's a divine purpose that Mother God and Father God and Abokoko Nabumkulu have brought you to do. You are here because you are here to heal. You are here to heal. Heal and heal. There's magic in you. I have come to celebrate criticism because it makes me be aware. It reminds me that I am not disposable. It reminds me, because sometimes we do lose track because we are so full in our humanness. It's not about being this guru and sitting on a mountain 300. It's about dancing, your humanity and your divinity dancing together. And understand your worth and value, because once you understand those things, no one is going to short exchange you. But it's about returning to essence. It's going back and loving ourselves. It's going back and be gentle with ourselves, because one who loves themselves, their no's are no's and their yeses are yeses. There's no maybe or I will think about it. It is yes or no, and firmly and lovingly so, because no is the power of love. No, it's a love. It's love boundary. It is love unconditional. Because no one is taking advantage of you. No one is doing things to you. You have attracted those experiences. You have attracted those experiences to mirror the wound that is unhealed. Remember that when you are experiencing things, ask yourself, how have I allowed? How have I attracted it? Because by doing so, Bomakoti. And isn't that the role of Makoti? When you look at it, very interesting? Because it's one who brings expansion. Look at things metaphorically and symbolically, not practically and role-orientated, because you're going to miss the mark. You're going to miss the mark when you look at it that way. I mean, how do you expect us as society to define things in a deeper way if we as society are broken? So that's why I'm speaking about healing and healing being important. I'm going to come and speak about Bomakoti and things and the importance of some of the things and what is the symbol for one, you know, is why we do certain things the way we do them. And yes, some things don't work for us. You know, I don't need to be going and you know, plucking out chickens to prove my competency as a woman. I need to be able to show my competency as the essence of me, as a carer, as a nurturer. I need to show it. I don't need to prove it. It's already in me. It might not be showing in me because it was violated. It was taken advantage of. It was called names. It was called weak. It was called not good enough. So I need to heal. And when you take your power back, it's when you heal. Because when you take responsibility, you stop creating and recreating experiences. Because you might be finding yourself in the same experiences over and over, same type of relationships, because you haven't taken responsibility for your part in it. Because we need to understand that in a world where everybody's trying to be popular, we have forgotten how to be purposeful. Please go check out my TED Talk. It's Gogo Dinao TED Talk, where I expand on these lessons that I'm sharing today. I speak about 4 spiritual lessons I've learned, and one of it is living in our purpose and not living for popularity. Interesting, in a world where everybody else wants to be, everybody else except themselves, because social media has made us to question our worthiness and our value, because everything we celebrate is the external. I love Coco, she speaks so well. She's such a powerful, intelligent woman. Some people hate me for that. Some people love me for that. But is that the essence of who I am? No. The essence of who I am, I'm a divine, caring, nurturing, loving, compassionate. I am God. I am creator. So even if all those things go, I will not stop being a nurturer, because my teachings are nurturing. The fact that you're feeling good, the fact you're like, wow, that's powerful, is because I'm nurturing. So as a teacher, I'm a nurturer. So you need to understand the importance of those things. So, and it's very interesting for me, because I feel like I'm here to, my priority is here to be a better version of myself every day before I can prioritize fixing other people. You see those of us who like to fix everybody else but not ourselves, because we see ourselves in other people and we think by fixing them it's going to fix the broken us. No, women, you need to do the work, and it's hard work, but it's worth it. Because you're going to be in your essence and in your power the minute you go through that journey of healing. Doesn't matter, we've all have experienced trauma. We've all have experienced abuse. If you have been born at the time where patriarchy existed, where white supremacy existed, understand that you have a wound. And some of the wounds we're not even aware of, because we're carrying our mother's wounds, we're carrying our grandmother's wounds. There are generational things we call generational curses or pathologies, because they've existed and they've been they've been passed from one generation to another generation to another generation. So until one steps up and takes a courageous step and say, I'm gonna heal, you are healing for your daughters, you are healing for your sons. Because we need to understand we cannot keep on pointing fingers. My grandfather used to say, when you do this, that is pointing at you. So everybody else you're pointing at, the rest of it are saying about me. What about you? What about me? What about me? What about me? You know, when I separated from my husband of 11 years and we've been together for 14, it was easy. The first thing is like, yeah, what did he do? And what did you do? Or you did something wrong. But I said we have both spoken and we both have to take responsibility for our part in it, so that we can break that pattern and that pathology, or we can break those chains so that we can be better versions of ourselves. Because when we are better, we can do better. When we know better, we can do better. So I understand that some of those things that you carry are your own, but some of them are not your own. And that's why many of us are being called now. Because to live in a world where we are being what we are being has not done the world a better place. And I see the birth of the divine feminine being in leadership. Again, it's not the first time. Africa had queens that ruled. Because women always think about not themselves only, about the collective, the essence of nurturer and carer. If you are one who just is thinking of themselves and controlling and dominating, it's vibrating masculinity, and that was born because of the woundedness, as I explained. Why we become so aggro and masculine is because that's what happens. We innately move from our feminine selves to our masculine selves, because we now have to protect the little girls in us that are broken. So we need to understand those things. We need to understand that we cannot, my pieces of advice to us as women is to say, I think my time is going to be up soon, is to say that judgment serves no one but defines you. So when you go and are becoming judgmental, you are just defining yourself. So the more angry and negative and toxic and evil and sinister you are, it's a reflection of who you are, not them whom you are naming names and calling them names. That's one. Number two is that we need to do away with pulling one another down. But we can't do that if we don't recognize the reason you're doing that is because you're wounded. So seeing somebody own their shine and that you were not able to do so because you were shy about it, the only way to feel important and relevant is by pulling them down. Again, only defines you, not them. We need to break away from things that make us think we are worthy. We need to break away that you are only good enough of a woman if you can bear children. You already have a womb that every month prepares to birth. It might be that the lives in which are coming through your womb are not ready yet to be born. So they go, or they refuse. They go because there's a miscarriage, or they go because you have not been in alignment with yourself. You are not connected to a lineage of your ancestors. You are not connected to Badimba how. So understand, I told you. I told you that it's going to be a deep spiritual conversation. People who judge because they are afraid to own up to their aspirations and they don't want to put in the work. They judge because it triggers a wound in them. So either way, show empathy and send love and light. Don't take anything personal. People's perceptions of you is their understandings of themselves. So those who feel I'm a powerful queen is because you know your power. Those who say I'm great is because their own greatness is being reflected back at them as they listen to the stream. Those who think I'm horrible is because I'm reflecting back your own misery. I'm making you uncomfortable because your spirit is saying, woman, you have been on the same path for too long, going around in circles and nothing is changing. But we need to unlearn to relearn, because some of the ways we behave as women is because we've learned those things. We have learned that petty women do this, Xhosa women still boy for people's people. No. It's not about, we need to unlearn. There's a lot of conditioning. And unlearning means going back to understanding our worthiness and our value, because we don't understand that. And if you don't understand your worthiness and your value as a woman, you're going to want to go try and pull each and every one of who is a reflection of you back down to be at your level. Because, hey, why we are late? You have to be la nami. Umangwen. Who the hell do you think you are? So those are the things that we need to understand, and let's create spaces of healing. Let's be gentle and loving to one another. When one of your fellow sisters, when one of the women is going through difficulty, say, I'm here for you. And it's not to make mockery of people's stories, because you never know what you might have needed to take from the story that came to your ears, even though it landed it landed by coincidentally or accidentally. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything is meant to be as it is in the universe. Everything else is not. Nothing else is a coincidence. Everything else is a synchronicity. Because Spirit is saying to you, there's a lesson you need to learn. I think Lebogang, I touched why women are so cruel. They are wounded and they're broken. They are very broken because we are all trying to fight for visibility. We are all trying to fight for a space. That's why I said we are the space. Why are you fighting for space? You are the moon. The moon doesn't fight to be shown in the sky. It's the conditioning that we've had because of patriarchy. Colonization oppressed black people. And also in colonization is what about the powerful white god man that oppressed the white women. Yeah. yes, that oppressed the white women. We were not oppressed, because our systems as Africans was to understand that the power in us lies in the collective. We understood that we were a family system. It wasn't the mother there and the father there. It was together, left, right, together in harmony. In the yin and the yang, we birth life. In the masculine and the feminine, we birth life. So we need to understand why we are so toxic to one another. Because where did you learn it from? It's a learned behavior. What you are is learned. Who you are is the essence. But we don't even tell and know how to navigate and be in those things, because who we are has become what we are. What we have learned, we have made it what. Because what you've learned teaches you beliefs. But what you've experienced teaches you knowing. Because my experiences have taught me knowing in my essence as a woman. It has taught me knowing in my essence of being a prayer woman, a pasha woman. I understand the power in calling upon my ancestors, because I am summoning greatness. I am summoning Umamu Winnie Madikizela Mandela. I am summoning Queen Ashantua. I'm summoning Lillian Ngoyi. I am summoning so many that are not even known and that I have not even written in the history books. I am summoning greatness to help me be great. So you need to understand that why we are being what we are as women, we are deeply wounded. And the sad thing about toxic people is, and hateful people is, they are dishing out poison and wanting everybody to drink it, but they are drinking it themselves. They say anger is poison, hoping that somebody dies from it. So understand. I hope that you go heal and you be better, because as you know better, you do better. I hope you can forgive yourself for doing things that you didn't know better about. But I hope also you can forgive others, because forgiveness, women, it's a gift to self. Forgiveness is not excusing anyone's behavior, but it's freeing yourself and liberating yourself from being held by that experience and that particular person who might have violated you that you need to forgive. Forgive yourself for not knowing. Forgive yourself for missing the mark. Forgive yourself, because once you do that, then you have what it takes to forgive others. So you need to understand those things. I can't say three. I'm not good with numbers. 1, be a prayerful and a patlaring woman. Connecting to spirit is connecting to the power of creation and creator. And once you are connected and are like that, you are not going to be blown by the wind in different directions. My favorite quote is that a people connected, but I'm going to say a women connected, like a tree that is deeply rooted, have an ability to thrive. Number 2, have awareness and be conscious, but you can't if you have not done the work. Ask yourself, how come I am not manifesting? How come I am not doing X and X? What is in me that is broken, that every time I try, feel and feed myself, nothing seems to last. It all comes and goes because something in you is broken. It needs to be fixed. Forgive yourself, because forgiveness is a gift to self. You are liberating yourself and you are being gentle and you are saying to yourself, I am here to forever evolve, change. As I know better, I will do better. You did what you did with the best that you knew. But now that you know better, you can do better. Forgive others, because that's a gift to yourself. Because they're not worth your time, your energy, your space. You can't be brewing that toxic thing in your energy field, because they might have probably forgotten about that experience. If you mattered, they would have come and done something with you. So you matter enough to declutter them. You matter, you cut that cord. Love yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. I do that every day. I'm like, I'm beautiful. Oh my God, I love my nose. That I used to get teased for. So I needed to do those things. Love myself, love my boobs, love my big bum. Because growing up, big boobs and big bums were not trending as they're trending now. there was something else. I was born in the 80s where petite was the thing. Now thick is the thing. See? The essence of who you are is not a trend. Trends change. But nature, carer, lover, never changes. Remains with us. The other one, continue to learn. Invest in yourself. Because once you invest in yourself, you'll understand your worthiness and your value. Whether it is invest in your studies, invest in your health, invest in your love, invest, because what we sow, we shall reap. What goes around comes around. It's energy. What you give out is what you get back. So thank you, beloveds. I think I'm past my time. I thought Facebook is like Instagram. It ends automatically after an hour. I have to go back to my practice because I left the practice to come to my house to do the stream. So I need to go back to my practice. Beloveds, if you need more teachings, if you need more awakening, follow me on Instagram. There's a lot of material there. Facebook page. I don't do streams a lot, but if you want to be part of the streams, because you can request in the streams and we can give some guidance and things like that. And YouTube. Oh, I did say that for those who might be, because they said I can do that. I'm not, I always believe people come in. Closer timing is perfect timing. Where spirit leads you is where you're going to be well. If you are wanting to come and see me at my private practice, our WhatsApp number is 074-210-2089. I work with other healers. I get booked sometimes 2 months in advance, so you might not be able to get to see me, but there are other gogos, and my price is worth it. I'm not going to say it's expensive. I say I'm worth it. So if you are able to mesh that vibrational frequency, great, we will see each other. And if not yet, great, whatever, as long as you're going to do the work you need to do to get yourself better. Because as you be better, you do better. And as you do better, then better things come your way. So that's what we need to understand. Thank you so much. And maybe we'll do this again. And let me know what you'd be curious about. I haven't really done a stream where I'm just teaching and I'm speaking for so long. I'm normally getting questions and engaging. I appreciate your spiritual ears. I appreciate the love you have radiated here. There's so much positivity. Can you imagine what we can do? Love exists outside of hate, because hate needs love to exist. So can you imagine when we are in love and giving love vibration, how many people can be healed? How much magic we can create together by spreading this love and light. So understand that, beloved. Ngiyabonga kakhulu. Hey, thokozani.